You will always see the world how you see yourself in it. And so what that basically means is that, when you see things as limitations, when you see things as incapable of being done, when you see things as, you can or can't do them, that's always an internal reflection of how you see yourself. Whether you see yourself as good enough, whether you see yourself as capable of doing that very thing, whether you see yourself as, capable of taking on that situation itself. And I think what you have to be careful of is like the limitations you place on yourself and allowing it to be a fact. I think sometimes a lot of you guys allow how you see yourself to be always how you see yourself. You see yourself as incapable of changing, incapable of becoming something more, incapable of becoming someone better than who you are now. And I think it's important that you question yourself when you say certain things. You have to have the self-awareness to know the thoughts that you're placing into your mind, the questions and the labels you're placing on the things in the world. Whether you're saying placing this thing as hard, or whether you're saying this thing is unrealistic, whether you're saying this thing is something that you can't do. Question yourself, question why you see it as hard, question why you see it as unrealistic, question why you say you can't see yourself doing that very thing. Because I think that allows us to grow ourselves. I think that allows us to become more aware of ourselves and the limitations we're placing on ourselves and how we may be holding ourselves back. I plan to make a video in the future based on how we're our own limitation, or based on how we're in our own way, essentially, because of how we see ourselves and the limitations we place on ourselves to be able to move forward in our life or make change within our life. And so I think it's important that when we have a dream and we say, oh, that's too far, oh, that's too hard, oh, there's too many things to do, or oh, I just don't see myself being able to do that, question that. Because I think we have so many self-limiting beliefs. We have so many different fears. We have so many different assumptions of what the future looks like before we actually even step into it, that can hold us back from actually stepping into our full potential and being the person that we're supposed to be on this earth, that from serving our purpose on this earth, from being the person that God needs us to be. God gave us so many different gifts and capabilities of what we're capable of doing in this world, and and we get into the world itself and we start forming all these different beliefs. We start taking on the values of the world. We start getting influenced by other people and what other people projecting their own fears and their own limitations onto us, that it kind of gets us away from our actual gifts. It makes us less confident in who we are and what's actually within us and what we're actually capable of doing in this world. And so it's important that we start questioning those things and start discovering the parts of ourselves that we're holding back, or that we're scared of, or that we've allowed the world to tell us is a fact, or the world to tell us that we're incapable of doing. A lot of people might say, for myself, just as an example, I'm not capable of making videos like this because I'm too young, or that I need to be going somewhere else in life rather than just starting a business or something like that. Like, if you take into consideration and you entertain all these different opinions and all these different thoughts from the world around you, then it can make you place limitations on yourself that aren't even limitations. It's just you decide to believe them as true. And so sometimes you have to go about yourself and challenging those self-limiting beliefs and challenging those limitations that you place on yourself and challenging those fears, because a lot of the times they aren't facts. You have to realize that a lot of the things we think is always subjective. I believe that's the correct word. It's either subjective or objective, but I believe it's subjective. But a lot of the times it's subjective, as in it's able to change. It's not always true. It's not a fact. It's not something that's, always going to be the outcome, basically. And so sometimes we have to realize, other people's lives, other people's gifts are going to be different from our own. And so somebody's weaknesses could be our strength. So what somebody else can't do right now, we're capable of doing. But the thing is that, if we always look at other people's results or the majority of the world, then we'll never be able to see how we're different in the world, because we're just following after everybody else. We have to realize we all have our own value in this world. We all have our own individuality and things that make us unique. And so where somebody may not be good in life, or somebody may be a little less knowledgeable, or not as good in a sense. I don't want to use that word. I want to say, they may be a bit weaker in that area of their life compared to us. If we allow their limitation to become our own, then we never see what our strength is capable of getting us in this world. We never allow ourselves to reach our own max potential because we put that cap on ourselves for who we're capable of being, either at this moment in our life or in life in general. And so I think it's important that when we say things like, oh, I'm not capable of going out and, chasing after that dream or accomplishing that thing or getting that high score or being in that group, question that. Is it a thing of we don't see ourselves as good enough? And then we have to question, why don't we see ourselves as good enough? Is it based on our comparison to the people who are in that group and, what accomplishments they have? And does that make us feel like we're lesser than them somehow? Or is it, we're automatically assuming that this fear, we don't trust ourselves to be able to take on that fear. And we think automatically the worst outcome or the worst case scenario will happen to us and it'll set us back in life. One of the most important skills I had to learn was to truly question myself, because that allowed me to get so many breakthroughs and, unlock this mindset, because I started thinking like, why do these certain things always have to be this way? Why do I even think this way? And it allowed me to just discover the insecurities. It allowed me to discover why certain things used to trigger me. It allowed me to, get better control over my emotions and just like become a lot more self-aware. It allowed me to really build a connection with myself, especially in those times where, people were treating me wrong or people would leave my life. People would say different things about me, questioning those, like, why does this really upset me? Why does this trigger me? Why does this make me feel this way? And then really question myself, what's the deeper meaning to this? What does this mean I need to learn to provide to myself? What does this mean I need to learn to build within myself? Whether that was self-trust, whether that was self-respect, whether that was just more confidence in who I was, and then, how I could build that confidence. Just ask yourselves those different questions and things like that allowed me to, become the person that I am today and step into the space and, impact as many people as I do today, because I didn't become comfortable with the limitations that I had placed on myself or that the world had tried to place on me. And so when I say, how you see the world determines how you see yourself in it, it's because like when we say like we can or can't do certain things, when we see ourselves saying like things are too hard or, that's unrealistic, or I'm not capable of doing that, or I don't want to do that, that's uncomfortable and things like that, it's because, we see ourselves in a way where we're not capable of handling that very thing. So we sometimes even project that on the other people. Other people try and tell us their dreams, other people try and tell us their vision or what they want to do, and we say, nah, I don't think you want to do that. That's too hard, or good luck with that. We tell, we're criticizing them in some way, but in reality, it's like that's just how we see ourselves. It could be as simple as somebody wanting to go approach a girl, and we have this fear approaching people who are in groups and things like that, or talking to people. And so somebody has this idea, or they're like, oh, I think she looks good, or I think he looks good, I want to go approach him. And then we project our own fears and insecurities onto them by saying, oh, nah, they're over there with a group, or oh, they're over there talking to someone, or oh, are you sure you want to do that, and things like that. But in reality, that's just how we see ourselves. And so, sometimes it's a mindset thing, because sometimes when you understand the mindset and you have the mindset that, things are capable of changing, things are capable of being improved within ourselves, that enables us to take on more in the world, then you'll start seeing situations and stop labeling them as limitations. Whether it's something where, you're unknowledgeable right now, you might say, oh, I just need to, improve my knowledge in that area, or oh, I need more practice in that area, or oh, I need to become more comfortable, or oh, that's a fear, but it's not really. You're like, oh, that's a fear, but really I'm just projecting and assuming from my past and things like that. But that may not be the actual reality of the situation. I think you also have to learn to disconnect from your feelings and determine when your feelings are actual fact and when your feelings are just feelings. Because a lot of times we place ourselves into the world and we go through certain experiences and certain events, and we feel certain things. We feel certain emotions, we feel different feelings, and they lead to our thoughts, and then our thoughts lead lead to actions, and then our actions tend to lead to experiences, which then form beliefs about how we see the world. And so I think it's important that, we learn to decipher, is this a fact or is this just a feeling? Is this just mind chatter and my mind trying to tell me, or, process or make some type of understanding of the situation on its own out of a feeling based off how I feel, or is this the actual reality of the situation? I think when you learn to decipher that, then you'll learn to understand, like, a lot of these things aren't limitations. They're just different feelings and how we've experienced them in our past. And, they don't always have to be that way. It just means we have to go out and, form a new experience or get a different result for ourselves. Go back to the drawing board and learn certain things and learn what we need in order to either feel more comfortable and confident towards that situation, or just change our perspective on the situation. Some people in this world have a fixed mindset, and then some people have a growth mindset. And what they basically are is that fixed is basically a closed mind, where you say this is you aren't capable, like you label things as they are, whereas a growth mindset says, I'm just working on my confidence. Oh, I need to work on my self-love. I need to work on, becoming more confident in this area of my life. I need to work on overcoming this failure, overcoming this mistake, and not allowing it to determine how I see myself as a person. And it's like, when you can change your perspective to the world, you'll realize, like, you aren't as incapable of doing certain things as you might have told yourself you are. You have to realize the growth and the change that you're capable of making to yourself to enable yourself to step into certain situations. Because I know when I unlocked this mindset, it really changed how I view my relationships. It changed how I view myself. It changed how I interpreted the world around me. And, not putting labels on myself for what I was capable of because of my age, because of my race. Those are a lot of the things you'll hear. Like, oh, because I have this group of friends around me, I'm not capable of doing this, or I don't have these necessary tools to be able to do this. Whether it's content creation, I don't have this specific camera, or I don't have this specific amount of money, or, you put all these caps and limits onto you as to why you can't take action for yourself. And when I really changed my mindset to think, okay, how can I enable myself? Is this really a limitation, or is there another way I can go about doing this? Is there a way I can improve this area of myself? Then it allowed me to think forward rather than just giving up or accepting things as is. And it allowed me to really change how I viewed the people around me, and again, myself, and again, just the world, because it started, making space for other people's imperfections and understanding that people are capable of changing, people are capable of growing, and who people are now isn't who they'll forever be. Sometimes people just need to become more self-aware. Sometimes people just need to be pointed in the right direction. Sometimes people just don't know the formula or how to create certain change within their lives. And so it really allows me to zoom out and see the perspective of the world from both sides, as well as from, how I may be limiting myself, and, how I may be in my own way, how I may be being my worst enemy, and how I may be holding myself back from stepping into my full potential. So, I think it's important to just question a lot of the things that you label in your life and label in your mind. Pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to the words you say, how you're saying it. Sometimes you're speaking in such a negative way, when in reality you can speak in a positive way that empowers you and enables you to not put a limitation on yourself. You can see yourself as unconfident, or you could say, I'm unconfident. There's a difference between labeling yourself as I'm unconfident and then labeling yourself as someone who's working on their confidence, or someone who their confidence isn't exactly where they want it to be. It's a difference in those two statements. One is you're working on it and you're improving it and you realize that it's capable of changing. And then the other one is, oh, this is just what it is, and that it's not capable of becoming anything different. But I appreciate you guys for tuning into the video. I hope you learned a thing or two about yourself. And yeah, hoodies. These are the hoodies, man. It has a design on the back saying "built off mistakes." I'll be sure to pop up a picture of it on the screen, but be sure to go on the website willkeepitreal.com. Be sure to sign up for early access, which will also automatically give you 10% off on the order, and you'll get early access to before the hoodies are actually dropped, so that you can make sure you get one, because last time I dropped these, they sold out and sold pretty quick, especially the largest. So you want to be sure that you don't miss out on those. Be sure to also join up on our self-discovery and self-healing community down in the description as well, on our school app. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notices. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.